Together we stand, and divided we fall. What is my aim? Well, basically my aim is to try and set as many people free as possible, in the hope that together we can change the world into a world that we're all happy with, because you can't really look around at the world at the moment and, say with all honesty that you're happy with the way that it is, because it's insane. Illness. I mean, probably every single one of you out there has lost somebody to some form of illness that was probably something that could have been avoided, had the right education and had the right information been around them, and had the people who we rely upon for our truths being honest and truthful and told us, instead of being motivated for money and power and greed, if they told us the truth because they were motivated for the betterment of us as a species and a society, then people could have made informed choices. It's like I say, I don't class myself as a vegan, even though I avoid meat and dairy. I just class myself as a conscious human, somebody who takes in the information that's available to them, not from the official narrative, and utilizes that to make the most informed, best decisions that I believe I can make. And it doesn't mean that I always get it right, and I'm not striving for perfection. I just want to be a normal human who loves and receives love back, and cares and receives care back, and who isn't stressed worrying about where I'm going to shelter or what I'm going to eat or drink, the basic necessities, the things that we charge for. I mean, look how expensive house prices are. Basic necessity is shelter. This is one of our survival necessities. And then food and water. We pay for our food, we pay for our water, and a lot of the food that is pushed onto us. So if you look at the advertisements on television, it's all the shit they're pushing, all the stuff that's going to kill you, make you obese, give you coronary problems and heart disease, and all of these ailments that you get from eating the wrong food, and every other chemical and poison that's in our environment that's been put there, to subjugate us and keep us weak and remove us from our seat of power. Well, I touched upon in one of my earlier videos, how do you wake up? And I think I was going to sort of give you an outline of a plan, because it seems that everybody's out there, they're all willing to teach you how to manifest your heart's greatest desires and how to be the best version of you in respect of how society views a version of you, meaning the system. And it's all bullshit. They're trying to overcomplicate everything so that they can extract money from you, and that's not somebody who's truly woken. If you've woke up and you can see what's going on in the world today, surely the answer is we need to step outside of the current system as it stands. And I know there's a rhetoric out there making people believe that that would be hugely difficult to do, almost impossible, and that we would need to reach a state of anarchy before we could be reborn. And that might be true because people panic over the simplest of things. I mean, look at the whole toilet roll debacle, when this coronavirus came in, and how easy people just panic and go for stupid things. I mean, toilet rolls, come on. What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you run out of toilet roll? You can go into your garden and pick up a dock leaf or wash your arse. Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on, man, think outside of the box somehow. You're so bloody stuck inside of your physicality and what the narrative's been bashing you over the head with all your life. So how do you step out of it? Well, first you've got to realize that you're in it. And I know that most people don't even realize they're in it. It's this invisible, system that is there to keep you in it. And generation after generation after generation are born into it. And therefore, it's becomes the normal. So anybody speaking out beyond that becomes, insane or a conspiracy theorist. Well, I think I've said before, I'm not worried about what you perceive my mental state to be in. I look at me and how relaxed and content I am with life and how stress-free I am. I may have nothing, but I've also got everything at the same time. And you may have lots of money and stuff and things that you surround yourself with, but do you find your true happiness there? I don't think so. And I think you're always striving to push to get something else, to, what's the next goal for happiness? Where do I have to get? When am I successful? Okay, so I leave school and I get a job. Well, that's success, isn't it? No, because I need to get that next position. And then I need to be the next position. I need to be the boss. Then when I'm the boss, I need to own the company. And, where does it stop? Where is the happiness in that? Where's the happiness in all of this stuff that disassociates you from the people around you? Because this is where society's taken us. We are becoming disassociated from each other. So where we have this natural connection that we've always had, which is our spirit self, it's like the mycelium of a mushroom network that spreads out thin little wisps that you can't see, and our energy network is a network that we can't see. It's not visible to the naked eye. You have to feel it, and you have to understand it, and you have to. So, most people won't get set free until a car crash happens. Something huge, an immense event that shakes you down to the very core of your being, to a place where everything is washed away from you, and only the very basics of you is left. And you're normally left heaped, crumpled, feeling broken, lost, in despair, wondering what it's all about. What do you do? Where do you go? So when a huge event happens in your life, it is life-changing. It changes your perspective. It gives you more truths than maybe you're willing to handle. So it's not always guaranteed that that event is going to set you free. Might set you on the right path, might open your mind, and you might have more events to come. But if you have that searching want, that need within you that isn't being fulfilled, and you understand, and you're not happy all of the time, and you're feeling stressed all of the time, and you're angry, and if you look at somebody and you think, oh, they're, whatever, for whatever reason, there's a difference, and when you're looking at them, you're projecting what you really feel sad about from yourself to somebody else, or what you fear in yourself onto somebody else. Because when something goes wrong, we always look for somebody to blame. There has to be somebody to blame, and often, we look to the wrong people to blame. Everything that happens within inside of me is within my control. Everything that happens outside of me, well, I cannot control that. But what I can control is how I react to it, or how I allow it to affect me. So these things I can control. The rest, if we could control everything in life, then we wouldn't get the full experience of what can be. Because to understand happiness and joy, you have to understand sadness and loss. It's not just a one-sided coin. But it doesn't have to be as lopsided as the society that we're living in today. And this is because we've got this pyramidical system where the very few people in the very top have got all of the power, and then it comes down. But it's not the power that's coming down, you know. What's coming down is the poverty that allows them to be rich, or the suffering that allows them to not have the suffering, because everything, you know, must balance. There has to be a balance of everything. So the way to find yourself and to step away from your physical desires is through going inside of yourself, which is why, you know, meditation's very important. You know, there are lots of different kinds of meditation you can do, but all that meditation is it's just a beginning. It's not going to make you enlightened. You don't get enlightened through meditation, or if you do, maybe it takes you a lifetime. You know, like the Buddha or people like that, you know, they spent their lifetime meditating just to realize that the actual meditation itself is just a way of you becoming calm and centering yourself and getting into a good seat to learn about who you are. But that's not what enlightens you. It's the journey that enlightens you. It's the journey and the realizations and the brutal honesty that you need. And it's very, very difficult to be brutally honest with ourselves, because we're all flawed. None of us are perfect. And the moment you start looking for somebody who's perfect, you'll end up in a very lonely place, because, you know, none of us are perfect. We're just human. We're fumbling our way through, trying to do the best that we can. And each and every single one of you is in the same boat. You know, you're trying to do the best that you can. And we can look around us and we can say, well, it's my circumstances that are holding me back. Or, you know, there's a million different excuses. But what is the truth? We hold ourselves back, whether it's fear or whether we just don't have that belief in ourselves. I mean, fear, I can talk to you about fear. I've lived under the shadow of fear all my life, all of it. From birth, I understood fear. Tried to be normal, fit in with all the other kids who I grew up with. Tried to just lose myself in life and do what they did. But unfortunately, that wasn't to be for me. So I lost myself inside of myself for a long time, many years. On the outside, I looked like just every normal person. I mean, some people thought that I was mental, but I had no regard for my life, nothing to live for. I was convinced that I would be dead by the time I was 20, by the time I was 30. It's not possible I could live longer than that, and now I've hit 50. It's took me 50 years of my life to find myself, to find my path, my true calling. So, you know, it's a long time of wondering and questioning, because I never stopped questioning and never stopped searching, and everything that I found out about myself I delved into and I exposed and tried to work with. You know, and you don't change overnight, you know, and when you're trying to change, sometimes you can think, oh God, I've reached this amazing place and I'm such a different person, but yet you still have that anger. You're still controlled by your ego, because your ego is so vast. It's a huge thing to be able to walk away from. And even now, you know, I can't say that I have no ego. We all have ego, but it's whether or not we allow it to control us, you know, or whether or not we recognize that we have ego and we try and make it as small as possible. You know, because you can't get rid of the ego. You need it. It's part of who you are. It's like people who go on about this, you know, your shadow self. You know, on this side is your shadow self, on this side is who you are. Well, that's a load of bullshit as well. There is no separatism. You know, you are your shadow and your shadow is you. Everything is a capability of you, but we it's easy to turn around and go, well, oh, it wasn't me, that was my shadow self. Well, that's not taking responsibility for who you are, for your actions. We have to relieve that inherently within us we have the capacity for great good, but we also have the capacity for great bad. And we're witnessing this all over the world. And it's not because people are bad. Some people are greedy and selfish, and this is the very minority at the top. And so they want everybody else to be just like them. So we're taught to be competitive with each other and to be in competition and to, success. What is success? What's the measure of success in society? Well, it's to have that nice car, flash clothes that have got name brands on them, shop in the nice food shops and all of the nice shops, and to go out whenever you want and spend money. It's all bullshit. We come to this earth, we have nothing. When we leave this earth, guarantee you ain't taking shit with you, apart from your experiences that you've had. And what you leave behind you is the love that you've given people and the things that people will remember you for. Nobody's going to remember you for being a twat. When you die, you're going to go, he's a fucking twat anyway. Do you know what I mean? I ain't going to remember him unless they're playing lip service. But generally, if you do good and you love, and you nurture, but people will always remember that. When you touch somebody's heart and you touch it for nothing, for not wanting something back. One of the most liberating things I've done since I became a Reiki master is I heal people and I ask nothing in return, and I check in on them, make sure they're alright. I don't even know them, don't know who they are, I've never met them. I only know them through life and Facebook, and I send my healing energies to them on a regular basis, and I never ask nothing, because why would I ask something from somebody? Why should anybody ask anything of anybody? We shouldn't need to. Everything that we have, everything we need, we should have around us, and why do I need stuff? What am I going to take with me? I've got a few clothes to wear, I've got some camping stuff to take my son away, a bit of fishing stuff because I like that, just not for the catching the fish, but just because it gets me away, gets me in a peaceful environment where, escape the world really. Fed up of looking at all of the shit all around me and watching people just blindly in their little trance of themselves doing what they're doing and perpetuating, and I'm no angel. I have done the same in my life, perpetuated the problem, but that was before I realized how big the problem was, what I was perpetuating and how I was doing it. But once you see something, once your eyes open, you can't really not see it, and you can try and ignore it, but if the universe has got something for you to do, trust me, it's going to push you to do it. So how do you wake up? Well, either you're not going to, and when they start injecting these nanobots into you because you've got your chip and pin, because it's so convenient, and all of the people in the media have made it look really attractive, like it's something that you really want. They're going to put the desire there for you, so that you think, oh, I want this, I really want it. And only when you see how controlled people, in fact they won't control people until they've got enough of them. Oh yeah, we won't switch on the mind control part of it yet, or the little subliminal messages that will be electronically inputted into your system that you will not be able to countermand, because you're just organic and you only operate on free will. And when you don't know that you don't have that free will, you just you believe you are your thoughts, and therefore whatever thoughts come into your head, well, obviously that must be you, so you'll act upon it. It's so insidious. you know, you're not gonna, some people just aren't gonna see it until it's too late, and until you see the screaming face of destruction right in front of you, and then the fear will rise when you realize that all hope is lost, and it'll be too late then. You know, when a bear runs at you, you don't wait until it's on top of you before you decide what you're going to do to act, do you? You know, for the best chance, you run as soon as possible if you have got nothing to protect yourself, or whatever, a lion, whatever, tiger. You're not just going to stand there and let it kill you, are you? You're going to fight or flight, but you make that decision as soon as possible. And if you're going to fight, you have to make that decision straight away and be prepared for it. And you don't leave it until it's too late, you know, as with everything. So meditation's a good way to find out just a quiet place within you, and how to separate yourself from your thoughts. This is what it's good for. Cold showers are good for this. Every morning I get up, clean myself with a hot shower, and then I'm under that cold water for however long I want, really. I don't even feel the cold anymore. It helps to separate your thinking mind, you know, because you've got that, don't want to go in the water, it's cold. But that's just, you know, your body wanting to remain in the comfort zone of what it understands. But it opens up, you know, your cardiovascular system very well, and your autonomic system that we used to have, that we survived on before we became civilized to death. And then breathing. I know most of you think, oh God, I breathe every day. You know, it's an unconscious thing that we do. But look at the way you breathe. You've got tiny little short breaths. You know, a proper breath starts in the bottom of your stomach. So you push your stomach out, and then you take the mid part of, and then your breath continues into your chest, and that's a full breath. And then relieve that. I'm going to teach you a very nice technique that I utilize. So get comfortable however you want, but don't do it standing up. I made that mistake and ended up with quite a bad back injury because I just collapsed, fell on some rocks, and spent the next, very recently, 5 or 6 weeks recovering, hardly being able to walk. It's quite amusing. But so what you do is, it's all about releasing the energy that is at the bottom of your spine and helping it to travel up. Now, there's a guy who's very, very good called Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's into his quantum physics, which sounds complicated. I suppose they always tried to make us believe that quantum physics was really complicated and something that, you know, would be beyond our understanding, but it's not. You know, it's a lot simpler than you perceive. It's only vibrational sound waves and things that the energies that we can't physically see, and it's the reactions that the human body has to these energies and things like that, and it's all being proven. So if you want to kind of force an awakening, the way to do that is to, so I have my own method. He'll teach you that each time you breathe in, it's like you need to contract your sphincter muscles of your arse and get practice in that. Hold them in tight, you know, when you need to have a poo, you've got nowhere to go, and the little turtle's head's popping out, and you want to stop that. Well, that's the muscles that you use to start with. Squeeze them, and as you breathe in, that fluid will gradually start to rise. It's a very slow, gradual process. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of time, and the more you practice squeezing those muscles and get comfortable with holding them for 15, 20, 30 seconds, then you work up the next set of muscles, but you're concentrating on the muscles that surround your spine. So when you breathe in, even though you're filling your lungs, you want to suck your stomach in as far back. Sorry, I'm sweating like a bloody bugger, but that's because I'm doing something I'm uncomfortable with, talking to everybody in public like this. So I'm out of my comfort zone, which I've mentioned before. Don't like doing this, don't want to be here. But anyway, so you suck that in, and as you breathe up, you're pushing the muscles up your back slightly, squeezing them gently so that they push that fluid up your spine, in the hope that you can get it up to your pineal gland. And as you do that, you obviously want to push your breath, which helps to push it up as well. And what I do to precede that though, so I do 40 deep breaths. And each time I do the breath, each time I do the breath, stomach out. Up. When I breathe in, stomach in, out. Up. And I got fluid, not like that. And on the 41st breath, when I breathe out, stop breathing, hold it. See how long you can hold it without breathing in. The first time you make it 30, 40, 50 seconds, the more you practice it. So if you do that 4 times in a row, the more you practice holding your out breath, you make it up to 3-4 minutes. I've done that. And then when you finally have to breathe in, when your body's telling you have to breathe in, breath out, another deep breath. And as you're breathing in, that last time, that's when you're pushing, you're squeezing your muscles up. And as you're breathing in, sucking your stomach in, that's when you put your attention to where your pineal gland is, and you just allow it to relax there. And your body's pushing. You will feel yourself go really lightheaded, as if you're going to collapse and faint, and you'll see all of the reality behind your eyes breaking down into a million particles, billions, that just, and then you'll feel that woo, and then there's a barrier you need to break through, and that's the barrier of fear. So you have to push through that, and then that will push your, what they call the kundalini, or the serpent, into your pineal gland. It takes a lot of years of practice, and it can be a very, very powerful experience. It's like when you come out of it, you could quite literally just feel like, oh God, it's like being on the most powerful drug you've ever, I mean, I've tried a lot of drugs in my time. It's people who actually physically know me will know I was a beast. Nobody could do more than me. I had no off switch, nothing. But that was because I just didn't care about who I was. I had no meaning, no goal for my existence. I didn't want what everybody else wanted. The system held no appeal to me. I remember as a young lad in the home, a guy who I looked up to was, as a father figure, Terry Bibby, much love, God rest his soul. He once turned around to me because I was going through an angry phase, I think, moody, and he just said, I don't know what you want anymore. He says, we can't do anything to you, you beat our system, what do you want? And I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know who I was. How can you know what you want when you don't truly know who you are? You only want a false sense of who you thought you were, so things related to that. But until you know who you are, how can you know what you want? You don't know what you want. You think that you want things that people have made you think that you want, and you see what other people want, so therefore you think, well, you must want what they want, and so this must be the way of it. But it's not true. But only through, discovering ourselves, can we find our own truths. I want to talk to you about value. Nothing on this planet has any value. Before we came along, there were no price tags on anything. Who says that a diamond's worth what it is? Us, we agree on it. So nothing has a price other than what we agree. So if you look at the world and inflation, inflation, there's no need for inflation. There's no actual need for it, apart from we want to put the prices of things up because we believe that life is getting more expensive. Why? Because we've been told that. That's the biggest load of shit. There's no need for debt. There's no need for any country or anybody anything. We're born onto this planet and it belongs to all of us. And it belongs equally to all of us. Nobody has more right than anybody. And as soon as you think you have more right than anybody else, then that's your ego. You're lost in your ego. That's not your true self. So how do we step out of that? Well, the lie is that it's going to cause chaos. But the truth is we have so much around us now. We have more than what we could ever want. But what we need to do is remember ourselves and who we are. We're the caretakers of this planet. And we're the lovers and the caregivers. This is who we are. This is our true nature. So how do we step out of it? Well, it's quite simple. Well, it's not quite simple. It's actually very complicated, because the hardest part is waking people up, because you have to wake people up first, and people have to realise the situation they're in, and they have to realise, okay, we're not happy with this. This isn't who I am. This isn't what I really want. I don't want to be trapped in this endless cycle where I retire when I'm 65. So most of my best years have all been given to the system. In fact, all of my best years have been given to the system. Why should you then get the chance to enjoy it when you're 65? Or you get to go away on holiday for a couple of weeks, because you've saved up all year for it. You might get 2 or 3 holidays. Well, life is supposed to be a holiday. We're only in this existence to enjoy it, to be happy, to find contentment, and so many good things out there that we should be experiencing. And I know that a lot of you think that you are happy because you've got your little path in life, and maybe you've worked hard and succeeded quite early, and you might have retired at 40, but you've still spent 40 years in the system, and you're still in the system, paying far too much for a property that shouldn't cost so much. House prices do not go down. We cannot afford to lose value of house prices, because this is the investment that they're tying you into, a part of the investment. So the house prices only ever go up, and yet they're not affordable for people. And so affordable housing, they've stopped building it. So how do we step out of this? Well, if we can wake enough people up, then we can turn around and say, okay, these people have the power at the moment, but if we turn around and say, right, nothing has any value anymore, because it only has the value that we agree. So if we take the value away from everything, we take their power away from them straight away. No money, no nothing, no power anymore. And then we look at what we need to look at for the continuation and the survival of our species. Well, what's really important? Food, shelter, water, and we like connection, because people who are connected live longer than people who are lonely, because that connection keeps us alive, gives us something to live for and strive for. And we like to be loved and nurtured, and we want to love and nurture. I fell foul to my emotions plenty of times because of that desire to be loved and to love and to nurture, be nurtured. And it's hard to find that back in a genuine form, because people are shrouded by fear and uncertainty and distrust, and they think that everybody's out to get them, and some people just aren't. Some people have just walked a certain path because they have to be that strong, hard character that is needed to take things forward in the world. You know, so how do you tell people the truths that they don't want to hear? Not an easy job, is it? So you have to be quite thick-skinned, and you have to be ready for any backlash. I'm ready. Any backlash. I want people to challenge me. I want questions. I want thoughts. I want everything. You know, you need to put it out there for people to look at and for you to look at. You know, maybe you're angry about things. So what are you angry about? Why are you angry about them? Where does it come from? We need to follow things back to source. And if you're looking for who's got the power, we'll just follow the money. So if we could all get to a stage where we said, right, nothing's worth anything anymore. We're going to focus on making sure that everybody on this planet has at least what they need to survive to a comfortable level. And that's plenty of food, plenty of water, clean water, you know, not water where they'd be better off drinking their own piss, because that's cleaner. You know, they've got all parasites in the water, and we need to take out, you know, all of the harmful chemicals that we surround ourselves with, or that other people surround us with. We need transparency on what is in everything and why. And we need transparency about everything. So, but, you know, not going too deep. So we agree that nothing's got any value anymore. And then we say, okay, how many people are there? 7.8 billion? 8 billion? How much land do we have that's livable? Okay. And then we look to build communities. So just say I build a community, I'm only going to use 500 people. So I put a community of 500 people out there, and they're all in, you know, nothing too, you don't need a flash house. We need places that we're comfortable in. And if we've got communal gardens where we grow vegetables, and communal areas for cooking and eating, you know, what do we need from a house? We need somewhere we can have our little private space, somewhere to sleep, somewhere to keep our meager possessions, because we don't need a lot. So we need to get back to basics, get everybody in a level playing field. If something costs £5 here, or costed, you know, it's got the same value all across the world. Why have we got this, you know, whole scale of value where we make people poor and put things out of people's reach? And there's too much choice. You know, you're surrounded by more choice than ever, and we waste more. There's more waste now than you could ever imagine. And it's not just plastics, it's food waste constantly, fish, meat, everything that we make. Waste, 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 because we just overproduce, and we're destroying everything because of it. And that's just greed. It's unnecessary. So we need to come back to a simpler way of being. We need to refine ourselves. We need to take the power away from the wrong people, because power inevitably will always bring the wrong people, because the right people aren't interested in it. So only the wrong people are ever going to strive for it. You know, the whole judicial system was set up to protect us, the common people, from the people who would strive towards power. And yet it doesn't. What they've done is they've turned it around, and they make us think that we're the corporations that are meant to be held accountable for it, but we're not. No individual person is a corporation. But this is what they put you down at in law. We're only governed by common law. Everything else in law and legislature isn't there for us. It's there to control the politicians and the bankers and the people who control the power. It's there to make sure that they don't get corrupted, which they already have. So yeah, we need to go back to living in communities, and we need to make sure that everybody's free. There's no borders. You don't need passports to go anywhere. This is our planet. So if I get 500 people, and I know there's lots of people out there who go, but some people don't want to work. You know, they'll be lazy. Well, there might be the occasional few people who decide to go down that route, but maybe their skills are in a different place. So look at a monk. You know, a monk doesn't go out and get a job, but he works very hard. he studies, he trains his body, he meditates, and then he comes and enlightens people. So is that not a worthwhile job? He's not working for an employer. He's not getting a daily wage or a weekly wage, and you'll find he doesn't have a lot of possessions generally, but he's probably much happier than most of us. So lots of it's about perspective, and I'm not saying that my perspective's any better than anybody else's. I'm just trying to share my truths, in the hope that I can help some people to escape from their miserable, unhappy lives, break free from the stress and the pain, and find their inner seat of power, where we're all connected through energy, through consciousness, because our cells are conscious, water's conscious, everything's conscious. Everything that we understand is conscious, because we're inside this huge conscious bubble of experience, but it's meant to be harmonious and nice and enjoyable and peaceful and loving and kind. Imagine that's heaven. This is the carrot on the stick that they put in front of us. You can go to heaven or hell. Well, we're already in heaven or hell. We have to decide what we make it. We have to decide that as a collective, because one person's energy can't stand against 7.8 billion. 1,000 people's energy can't stand against that. We need the majority, and at the moment the majority are all in a trance and all stuck in their little jobs, their little lives, doing what they're doing, and it's not taking it anywhere good. So we need to realize our truths. We need to spread the words. We need to, get together. Because whether you like to think of it this way or not, there's a war going on, and there really is. And most of you aren't even aware. You think that wars are all fought with guns and knives, and but there are wars that are much more insidious than this. And this is the kind of war we're fighting. A war for our personal freedom and our health and our well-being and our planet. We're born from the planet. Everything that you see around you was given to us by this planet, or taken from this planet these days. It's not given to us anymore, we take. There's no give, we take, and that's it. And some people take everything, and we stand by and let them. So we're just as guilty if we stand by and let them. Guilty by association, isn't it? If you stand by and watch something bad happen, or allow something bad to happen, that guilt falls upon you as well. And this is why most people don't want to realize what's going on, because you don't want to accept the responsibility of it. You don't want to think that maybe you're part of the problem. But you have to come to those realizations before you can elicit any kind of real change, because we have to get out of the seat of denial. We have to take responsibility, and it's difficult. And then we could just sidestep out of society and say, okay, we don't want this. We don't want your system anymore. It's defunct, it's broken, you're all corrupt. None of you got any of our interests in heart, but we've got our own interests at heart. If you look around your network of people, you've got people who care for you beyond what you could probably understand, and they genuinely care for you, because this is the nature of us. When you look around and you see the angry people, whether the disenfranchised people who've suffered at the hands of the system, and it's unnecessary. And what does anger do? Anger harms you. It burns inside of you. I know I carried anger around with me for a lot of years. It's only the last few years, couple of years, I had some help, to realize, sometimes other people come into your life to give you the realizations and the lessons that you need to put you where you need to be. And sometimes that can be difficult, but it's all good. Everything turns out the way it's meant to be. So it's quite easy for us to step aside and decide it's up to us, but we need to wake up first, and we need to come together. We need to join our energies and step out of the fear and the distrust that is put on us by the narrative, because it's constantly put there. And they just, you know, if you look at mainstream media and what they advertise, you see their goals. You know what the main adverts, McDonald's, all that kind of shit, all this fucking crap they want you to stuff inside your body to keep you ill and weak. Yeah, it's not good. Anyway, I'm going to leave this for now. Peace and love. Together we stand, and divided we fall.